Gary Garman runs a mixed family farm near Allan, Saskatchewan, and he discovered a few years ago that bale grazing wasn't the answer for his operation.
And I found that a lot of waste and a lot of work. I had to start up every day, I had to cut twines, I had to push snow. It was a lot of work, and the tractor, I only had an old tractor, two-wheel drive, and it was getting stuck and fighting. And then the waste on top of it, you're wasting 20 or 30% hay, if not sometimes more.
Garman feeds about 60 cows in their cow-calf operation and was looking for a way to feed them out in a field and minimize waste at the same time. After considerable research, he came up with this large portable feeder design, which right now measures about 17 feet wide by 96 feet long. But the design allows him to make it almost any length he wants.
The posts are 10 feet apart and 10 feet then 6, and I strap the posts on, like the panels on with these straps here. And as the cows eat here, I open it up one hole at a time as they kind of clean up on the sides. And then just work it down.
At one end of the feeder, Garman has a farm-built wooden sliding gate, which is pushed along as the cows clean up the feed. The gate is chained to the walls, giving him the option of releasing the chains and allowing the cows to push the gate closer to the feed pile as needed. But with experience, he's decided it's better if he's the one pushing the gate.
Take my little fork and just clean it up about 2 feet and then push it in by hand and then chain it solid. Because feed will actually be wasted underneath if you just let the cows push it, and it has a chance of tilting, and then the cows can get in to the side. So I like to chain it solid every time.
Each fall, before the ground freezes, Garman puts in the posts on the field where he wants to set up the feeder. During our early December visit, he also showed us the second set of posts where he plans to feed the cattle once the feeder is empty, which usually happens around mid-January.
Set it up as close to like a windbreak, so they're protected a bit from the northwest winds. There's very few trees in this area, so there's not a lot of places to do this. So I'd like to maybe set it up, do smaller batches and spread it out a bit more to spread manure.
At some point, Garman expects to buy his own tub grinder, but so far he has hired a custom grinder to fill the feeder, which can usually be done in a day. For the first fill in fall, he mixes all his low-quality hay bales about half and half with some of his best hay.
So I use up my poorest feed while the cows are in their first and second trimester, and I save the little bit better feed for the second fill, so when they're starting to go into the third trimester and the winter's a bit colder.
If his overall hay quality isn't quite as good as he'd like, or if it's colder than normal in the winter, Garman will sometimes add grain screenings to improve the quality of the feed. He says even though it seems like a large cost to run a grinder for a day, he finds it to be cost-effective compared to feeding bales.
It's only for 4 or 5 hours, and if you add it up starting your tractor every day, you're probably going to use more fuel through the course of 2 months than if you had your tractors running one day. So your fuel's a balance, I think. And there's no manure to haul, so you're making money there. And your labor is really low once everything's set up. So there's a bit of labor getting it set up, extra labor setting it up, but once it's set up, your labor through the worst part of the weather is really easy.
Garman has discovered that it's a good idea to watch the weather forecast and try to fill the feeder on a relatively calm day.
If you just grind a fresh pile and you get a windstorm that night, it might blow on you a bit. The best thing that can happen to the pile is getting an inch of snow right on top right after, and it'll hold it together beautifully.
The Garman farm covers about 1,700 acres, and he usually fences off close to 20 acres of cropland each winter where he will keep the cows and set up the 2 feeding sites. The resulting manure provides a significant fertility boost in the following years. Other than the posts, all the materials used to build the feeder are reused when he changes sites.
And then in the spring, I pick everything up. I pull the posts, pick up the electric fence, and then I prepare the site for seeding annual crops in, and I can seed right through it all.
Garman estimates the material cost of building his portable feeder at around $3,000. He sees that while swath grazing has become popular with many producers, he feels this is a much better fit for how he wants to manage his mixed farm.
If I'm going to grow a crop of oats or barley, I want to try to get number 1 milling oats. And it just doesn't make sense to me to grow a crop, drop it on the ground, let your cattle trample it, let it turn to straw first, cattle trample it to feed the cows. So you're better off, I think, harvesting a number 1 crop if you can, maybe baling the straw and mixing it out through this system.
These cows will start calving in early April, which is when Garman switches to feeding with his 3 portable farm-built round bale feeders. He figures they reduce feed waste to about 5% or less at a cost of about $700 per feeder.
They hold 2 round bales. It's all 2x6 construction with bolted, all lumber's bolted. I got combine rub bars, and it's all bolted together so you can pull pretty hard on this thing without breaking it. There's a floor in it so you have no waste on the ground in the mud.
After he started field feeding his cows, Garman quickly realized his calves needed to have shelter from the unpredictable prairie spring weather.
We had a bad spring with lots of snow, cold snow, and I was frustrated. The cows are shivering, and I decided one afternoon I'd build a calf shelter. And so I started about 1 o'clock, and by 7 or 8 I had it done. And I put some straw, and the cows went in it, and they were just happy as all get out.
The shelter is 8 feet by 16 feet and just under 6 feet high, with one open end where the calves enter. It's made of rough-cut lumber sheeted with recycled tin. Another set of rub bars bolted to the base allows Garman to pull it where it's needed. The material cost was around $200, which he figures is a small price to pay to protect his return during calving season.